Climate change, left to run its own course, could also finish us off. The existential issue is whether we can foresee what needs to be done and get it done in time to matter. We are always in a race between what our intelligence can do for us and what our intelligence does to us.
A just-released report from the Pentagon, climate change and the challenges it's creating for the military.
The latest report says global warming is driving weather to new levels of extremes.
A growing threat to national security.
The predicted consequences of a warming world are already with us.
Climate change and natural disasters can cause humanitarian crises, population migrations.
Scarcity of water, food, and space could lead to failed states, instability, and potentially radicalization.
Senator, there's no question that environmental security can have a dramatic effect on overall security, both in individual states and regionally.
Never before have so many people fled war and persecution.
This is climate change far beyond the melting ice caps.
Global climate change, while not new to history, is new to the modern world. It can significantly add to the challenges of global instability, hunger, poverty, and conflict. The effects of climate change are far-reaching and unpredictable, demanding our attention and strategic thinking. The U.S. Department of Defense is preparing to adapt to these 21st century challenges.
The intersection of climate change and the security of nations will become a defining reality in the years ahead. We cannot ignore the costs of inaction, and we cannot leave these massive security concerns to the next generation. We are now in the age of consequences.
A new study finds climate change exacerbated the worst drought ever in modern Syria as a consequence of human interference.
Professor Richard Seeger says that a 3-year drought played a huge role in pushing the Syrian people into an all-out civil war.
This is the first study that quantitatively draws a connection between climate change and the onset of a conflict. Syria began to experience a serious multi-year drought in the winter of 2006-07. And that drought lasted for 3 consecutive years. Farming families just cannot survive on the land when a drought lasts that long.
As people try to feed their families and can't, they've got to go somewhere.
The drought caused a large number of young Syrian men in particular to leave farmland and go to the cities.
Damascus, Aleppo, 1.5+ million people had to move.
That has a major destabilizing impact when people have to pick up and leave, whether it's because of conflict or resource scarcity. As anyone can tell you, a bunch of unemployed young men in a major city is not a recipe for social stability. Military Advisory Board is a group of senior retired admirals and generals from all 5 services that have changed the conversation.
The view of the Military Advisory Board is that we can't wait until we have absolute certainty. If we wait, we might wait too long.
We released our initial report, National Security and the Threat of Climate Change, in 2007. We realized that climate change would be a threat multiplier for instability. As people become desperate because they have extreme weather and the seas are rising and there are floods in one area and droughts in another, fragile states become more unpredictable.
that was definitional. When that study came out, it really set a baseline for how to talk about this issue.
One of the key recommendations of the CNA report was to incorporate the consequences of climate change into a national intelligence estimate.
In 2008, the idea that came out of that report was climate change exacerbated existing societal tensions.
Social tensions and economic costs could lead to state or regional instability threatening U.S. interests. It could contribute to inter and more likely intra-state conflicts.
Climate change as a threat to national security worked its way into the highest level strategic document produced by the Department of Defense.
The Quadrennial Defense Review, the Pentagon's bedrock strategic document, has consistently identified climate change as an accelerant of instability or conflict.
It was really the first time that climate change was addressed at that level. We now see this signed out by the Secretaries of Defense.